I'm Andrew Levine, the CEO of Koinos Group, creators of Koinos, the feeless blockchain with proof-of-burn decentralization. And in this video, I'm going to look at two blockchains that took very different approaches to explore why there still aren't any social dApps with mainstream adoption, despite the fact that this is often touted as the killer app of blockchain. Ethereum has far more developers than any other blockchain, and yet none of those developers have managed to build a social application with mainstream adoption. At one time, Steem was the most widely used blockchain of any kind in the world, making it also the most used social dApp in the world, with a market cap that reflected this, with an all-time high of about $2 billion. That's billion with a B. Steem was able to grow extremely fast and onboard hundreds of thousands of ordinary users, but never received the level of developer adoption that Ethereum did, and ultimately failed to live up to its potential. How and why this happened is a valuable lesson about building both dApps and blockchains. When Steem was being built, Ethereum was the only viable blockchain that a developer could use to build their dApp without forking and modifying the code of an existing blockchain like Bitcoin. With Ethereum, instead of having to build a blockchain from scratch just to support some specific application like a social network, the developer could just write up the code needed for their application and upload it to the Ethereum blockchain as a smart contract. This would enable the developer to piggyback off of all the hard work already done by the Ethereum blockchain developers and focus on their own application. Allowing developers to upload code to the blockchain created infinite possibilities, including the possibility to upload code that uses up all the network resources, making it useless. To solve this problem, Vitalik Buterin invented gas, a decentralized system for charging a fee to execute code on a blockchain. The fee-based design of Ethereum was brilliant and set the direction for blockchain design for a decade, with nearly every subsequent blockchain implementing some variant of gas. In short, the genius of Ethereum is that it gave developers access to a limitless, or Turing-complete, programming language. The genius of gas is that it created a decentralized limitation on what developers could do with that limitless language. It is this fundamental conflict, limitless and limited, that explains why there are still no mainstream social dApps on Ethereum. The Steem developers had previously built a blockchain framework which was used to update BitShares, Dan Larimer's first project and arguably the first DeFi application. Graphene allowed them to basically embed smart contracts directly in the blockchain, allowing them to customize it to different use cases. Because these operations were not executed in a virtual machine like in Ethereum, such blockchains could be much faster. BitShares 2.0 was the first use case for Graphene, and Steem was the second. For Steem, the operations they added to the Graphene framework focused on social features, posting, voting, rewards, etc. Realizing that no one would use a social app that charged users fees all the time, they also experimented with a bandwidth system that gave users free usage of the blockchain based on locking up their tokens. The problem was that these operations, unlike Ethereum smart contracts, were executed right alongside all of the most important cryptographic functions of the blockchain, which meant they could only be modified by a hard fork. It also meant that application developers had no way of adding their own code to the blockchain whenever they wanted. So Steem was just as hard to update as Ethereum, but unlike Ethereum, it didn't have the flexibility that comes from having smart contracts that can be run in a virtual machine. Developers love having a fast and feeless blockchain, but they hated being completely reliant on the blockchain developers to improve the code powering their apps through hard forks. Imagine if Ethereum dApp developers had to wait for ETH 2.0 to add an important smart contract to their application. This placed an incredible burden on the blockchain developers and an unacceptable limitation on the application developers. We should know, we were those blockchain developers. I've now explained why Ethereum and Steem haven't been able to deliver a mainstream social dApp, despite taking two very different approaches. But maybe now the solution seems fairly obvious. Why not combine the feeless system developed for Steem with the flexibility of a blockchain with smart contracts like Ethereum? Then we could give developers the best of both worlds, enabling them to create free-to-use applications with the freedom to add new features whenever they wanted. Well, that's exactly what we're doing with Koinos, but it doesn't answer the question of why we're still not using any decentralized social applications in our day-to-day lives. So stay tuned for my next video where I'll continue to explore this topic.